Good afternoon to you. Mark Sudduth, HurricaneTrack.com, here with your Hurricane Outlook and discussion for Tuesday, the 19th of June, 2018. Hopefully the audio is better today. I think it is. Take a look at this interesting thing. You see rotation there? I do. It's a tropical wave that's very dry. And you can see that rotation, some broad turning, approaching Trinidad and Tobago. There's Barbados. So you'll have a tropical wave passing through your area. To my friends down there in the Windward Islands, keep an eye on that. Some gusty winds with any of these little popcorn thunderstorms that pop up. But the air is stable. There is a lot of dry air in here. And the instability, or the another way to look at it, the ability of the atmosphere to be unstable, which we call instability. Isn't that funny how that works? It's just not there. There's too much dry air, and this is just going to remain a broad turning tropical wave. Kind of interesting to see, but beyond that, probably not going to develop. Maybe in the eastern Pacific several days down the road. Looks like some convective activity in the vicinity of Trinidad and Tobago. If you look out over the ocean, you see some of those towering cumulonimbus clouds. I like that right there. The resolution here is amazing. This little streak coming off of Barbados. Very interesting how you can see these types of things on high-res satellite imagery. I want to show you what this looks like, too, real quick on the GFS. This is the wide Atlantic 850 millibar level. Here's the coast of Africa, just to get your bearings. There would be Spain and Portugal right there, the Iberian Peninsula, Canary Islands, Cabo Verde Islands or Cape Verde Islands, eastern part of the U.S., Florida. So now that we know what's what, hopefully, this is the area right there that we're talking about. That little weak, tiny vorticity signature right there. Let me circle it again. Right there. Very, very small and insignificant. But I wanted to show you that it does show up. And if we put this into motion, you can track it as it goes along right there, and then it just kind of goes away. But it's kind of neat to see, at least I think so. And yes, it will track through the southern windwards, and it'll do so without much fanfare at all. But I noticed it on the Weather Nerds site as I was perusing satellite views for today's update, and I thought I'd point it out. If the atmosphere was more moist and able to produce thunderstorms over this area, then this would be kind of like what we saw last year, where we had Dawn, Form, and TD4 out there in this very area too. So the tropics are trying. It's just they are up against a lot of hurdles here with some very dry air. All right, where there is not dry air, unfortunately, would be the northwestern Gulf of Mexico and parts of northeast Mexico and the western Gulf waters. Very strong southerly surge of deep, high precipitable water values in the atmosphere, very rich for thunderstorm growth. And luckily, in terms of it becoming a tropical cyclone, it's all stretched out. All this energy is very linear, and it's not concentrating. But the bad news, a lot of upward motion here, a lot of convection, and we're seeing some flooding problems in the Beaumont-Port Arthur area, right up the Sabine River, into southwest Louisiana, and this is going to continue to be a problem, unfortunately, over the next day or two, maybe beyond that. And there's really no way to predict exactly what's going to happen for those areas. We're going to get to that in a moment. Here's the outline of a large part of the coastal Texas region under flash flood or aerial flood advisories, either flash flood watches or aerial flood coverage advisories. So take it easy down there, especially in the big metro areas where you have a lot of traffic already. I'm looking at you, Houston. You guys got to slow down out there when you get those downpours. In the east, where I am, it's heat advisories. It's in the upper 90s here in Wilmington. And look at that, very hot out west, too. Whew! It's beautiful out there, but that's sweltering. So looking at the larger mosaic here of the radar returns, again, southwest Louisiana extending down into the Gulf, and some of this coming into interior Texas, trying to reach close to San Antonio, along the I-10 corridor, which goes right through here, through Houston, and then west towards San Antonio, and then on out into the desert southwest. This whole region under fire from a lot of heavy rain, but it really depends on where the banding sets up. And we can look at that better on this animation from Houston Galveston radar and the Weather Service office. Most of the Houston metro area here, at least while I'm recording this, just shy of 3 p.m. Eastern time, generally clear of any major heavy bands. But if something like this sets up over you, you know how it goes. We saw that during Harvey, and these just came in and circulated one after another. Fortunately, this is not the same setup. That being said, you could still see several inches of rain, and for that, we do have the flash flood watch in effect for a good deal of the region. And I like this infographic here talking about the rainfall for today, that you do have the flash flood watch in effect for Fort Bend, Harris, Liberty, Jackson, Matagorda, Brazoria, Galveston, and Chambers counties through this evening. And then even though you're in this flood watch, and this part right here, this paragraph, important, 1 to 3 inches of rain in general, but 4 to 6 where these bands set up. And then the greatest risk for the flash flooding will exist wherever the rain bands set up. And so not everybody's going to see tremendous amounts of rainfall. I think you know that by now, and it's impossible to forecast that out 6 to 12 hours even in advance, much less 2 days. So the best course of action, of course, is just to relax and not drive fast. And if you don't have to drive at all, especially one of those heavy rain bands, just don't do it. All right, we want you to be safe out there. The rest of the tropics, nice and quiet, nothing brewing in the eastern Pacific. And so that's good. This will be pretty short today. Don't forget, on Thursday, a couple of days from now, I will have a special guest, and we are going to discuss ENSO, El Nino Southern Oscillation. And you'll just have to wait and see who it is that I will speak to. I'll bring them in via Skype in what I am calling my Phone a Friend. I like that, and I like that show, Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. Came out a long time ago. The first one was in August 1999, at least in the United States, with Regis Philbin. Remember that? And that Phone a Friend, I thought that was a cool feature. And I'm going to do that. I'm going to phone a friend, somebody that I've never met in person, but I know on Twitter. So some of these people, you feel like they're your friends, especially when they give you knowledge that helps expand your universe. And I want to do that and further expand our universe together as we learn more about ENSO, or El Nino Southern Oscillation, the phenomenon behind that. So tune in Thursday for sure. I'll be back tomorrow too. I'm just saying Thursday will be when we dial up our Phone a Friend special guest, and you'll see who it is then. Until then, have a great rest of your Tuesday. If you are in Texas there with all that heavy rain, southwest Louisiana as well, Lake Charles, I got a good friend of mine, Lance Escaday, that works at WFO. That's the Weather Forecast Office, not a radio station, in Lake Charles. And boy, he's got his work cut out for him with all of this nasty weather. You guys all be safe out there, all righty? And I'll be back tomorrow. Mark Sudduth, HurricaneTrack.com. Thanks for tuning in today. I'll be back with more for you on Wednesday.